I'm Sally Vancura, and welcome again to In the American Kitchen, a show where local cooks show us their recipes and give us a little story. But this episode, we have health. And we have with us today Dr. Anthony DiLorenzo. Hi, Doctor.
Hi, Sally.
Now, Dr. DiLorenzo's an internist. Why don't you tell them your credentials?
Okay. I'm an internal medicine specialist. I'm an osteopathic physician, been in practice for 20 years, and I concentrate on prevention with patients with all kinds of medical problems like heart disease or diabetes or cholesterol problems, and that really makes up the majority of my patients.
So nutrition's a big deal for you.
Talk about nutrition all day, every day.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's why you told me you want to make a dish for me.
Yes.
Okay, so I challenge you. You're going to make us a healthy dish that's going to taste fantastic.
And it's fast.
Okay.
And it's filling, and it's completely nutritious.
Sounds wonderful. Well, we're going to get started now.
Great.
Okay, Doctor, challenge on. What is your dish name?
It's healthy sauté.
Healthy sauté. So I take it we're going to sauté.
We are going to sauté. So
okay.
I get home from work at night, I'm starving, it's like 9 o'clock, and I want to be able to eat in a few minutes. So this is the dish I cook when I get home from work, and I just get the pan going and cut an onion. That's the first thing I do, and then once the pan is warm, I get the onion caramelizing.
Okay. Now, this is the first time we're using this induction plate, so
yes.
we're experimenting a little.
We're just going to go for it. I think that I put in just a tablespoon or so of olive oil.
Okay.
Just enough to get the onion covered. And then I add a little salt and pepper early on, so I'm not tempted to be doing it the whole way through.
Okay, I got it to the side here.
So I really don't use very much because I'm constantly telling people not to use too much salt and pepper, or salt. So pepper and.
Now, what I have you here, salt. Is there a difference between all these different salts?
There probably is. In the American diet, we probably do need a little bit of iodized salt. Okay. So even though I like my Mongolian pink salt, it's not iodized. So it might come back and bite me sometime. If I were to use that exclusively. In the American diet, it is so high in salt that we hardly have to worry about getting enough iodine from our salt because everything is salted. Okay, so I'm
glad I asked. Now with sauté, the main thing you do for sauté is high flames.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, this thing's cooking pretty quickly.
It's good. This is going to work, huh?
It's going to work.
Okay.
So that, and then add the generous scoop of garlic.
I was going to say, that's a lot of garlic.
That's what my wife says every time I make this. And but it does have the house smelling really good in a couple minutes. Okay. So once the onion is caramelized, the next thing I add is the spinach. I just start loading on some spinach. Just give that another second here, another spin.
Now, what you were telling me before is that we could use variation of greens.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will even often just make sure that my freezer is full of a variety of frozen vegetables, either mixed vegetables, stir fry, or kale. I really like to get fresh spinach, but sometimes you run out. I come home hungry every night, and whether there's spinach or not in the fridge, I have stuff where I can make this dinner.
Okay.
So I just start taking handfuls of the fresh spinach.
Right, because that cooks down like nothing.
It does, yeah. And you just watch the dollar signs become smaller and smaller here as we go.
But there's definitely a good flavor to spinach. I even like that in sandwiches versus the lettuce.
Yes.
It gives it a different flavor.
Yes, and it's very nutritious. Magnesium and iron and B vitamins, and beta carotene. Okay, so we'll just cook this down a bit more. And the next ingredient to add will be the tomatoes. The red gold tomatoes are the ones that that we get at our house, and with these, they come with a variety of flavors. There's garlic and olive oil. There's basil and garlic, and green peppers, green chilies, and cilantro.
Oh, so you
and
could make it a little bit
yeah, they're really
Mexican. So in case you didn't have enough garlic, we have a little garlic in the tomato.
You know, it's completely up to you. I'm going to add just a little bit more. But it does
smell good here.
Add just a little bit more oil. Not going crazy. But extra virgin olive oil, it's very good to do it with that. People could also use coconut oil. There's a lot of buzz going on right now about coconut oil, and the reason for that is it's high in omega-3. So it's higher even than the olive oil in omega-3 fatty acids.
Really? I didn't know that.
The interesting thing about omega-3 fatty acids is that the body does not make them. We have to take them in. And our best source of omega-3 is from fish. So the best plant source is from flax oil. But flax oil, not really great for cooking with, and not very tasty. Whereas olive oil, which has a lower percentage but does have omega-3 in it, and then coconut oil as well, which are very good oils for us. So there's
Now there's a lot to be said for the Mediterranean diets like this.
Yes.
Because I know I grew up with greens and tomatoes, cooked tomatoes like this, but we would put Italian sausage in there too.
You know, I think that one of the biggest changes we're going to be hearing about in changing the American diet is to be getting away from carbohydrates and to concentrate more on vegetables like this and meat, like maybe even like sausage, but to stay away from the carbohydrates. Okay. So to make this meal with a low amount of carbohydrates, which is what is contributing a lot to the diabetes epidemic that we're experiencing in Western civilization. So
now, carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates. Bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. That's what I'm telling people every day, all day long. Please cut back on your bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. And then people ask me, well, if I do that, what do I eat? And that's why I'm here today, is to help them understand that.
That's why you said you wanted to come on here to show me.
Yes. So what I do while I'm cooking this, rather than what I used to do was say, take out the corn chips and the hummus, or eat some other pita bread or something like that, I take out some pistachios, and I'll have a handful of pistachios if I'm really hungry and I can't even wait for my sauté. So that's a nice healthy snack.
But you know what? To have it in the shell is a good idea too. It slows you up from eating.
It does.
Because if it's already shelled, I know I would take a handful.
Exactly. Next thing you know, $9 worth of pistachios are gone. So, okay. So next ingredient is olives. I like to add some black olives.
Okay.
It has good oils in it.
The olives.
The olives.
Okay.
Have that omega-3. It's not exactly the olive that the olive oil is made from, but it's the same omega-6 and omega-3 oil. Healthy.
Boy, this is really smelling good.
It does smell good.
Yeah.
Okay. Final ingredient is garbanzo beans. You can use a lot of different things here. Any kind of bean is fine. Garbanzos are really healthy. You want to rinse the can of the beans because they're packed in a fluid that's salty. So you don't want to just add all the salt that's in this can into your dish.
Okay, so you're reducing.
I did rinse these, and then I'm going to add about 1/3 of a can of the garbanzo beans just to layer that on, and we'll be spinning
and
it in
give it some nice color.
Yes, very much so. Okay, a little bit.
And this is another thing you were talking to me about variety. Black beans.
Any kind of bean.
Yeah.
Black beans, kidney beans.
Garbanzos the chickpeas take on the flavor of the dish, so probably one of the better ones for this.
We are almost there.
Wow, that looks great.
Another option here would be...
So we can't make some pasta and put it on top, huh?
No, actually, the garbanzo bean actually is going to have some carbohydrate in it. So it has some starch in that garbanzo bean. So that's why you would not need to add bread, pasta, rice, or potatoes with this. It is not that many calories. If we ate this whole thing, we'd still be under 400 calories, and that's good for a dinner.
This whole pan would be?
The whole pan. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. And some nights I'll eat most of that, and I'll keep a little bit for the next day's lunch to take with. But it is guilt-free. Can eat the whole thing and still be under your way under what most people would have for a dinner meal as far as calories go. What I like to remind people is to read the labels. To realize that when we added the tomatoes, we added 400 milligrams of salt from the tomatoes.
Okay.
If you don't rinse the beans, that's another 400. Well, our whole total for the day is 2,000. So you got to be careful with that. And then the calories associated with the garbanzo beans is 100 calories per serving, and that was a half a can for 100 calories.
Okay.
So.
And that's a thing for when you read the ingredients, you check the per serving. Because I know a couple times I'll overlook that and go back and almost missed that.
Yes. Last night I cooked this and used a navy bean, and you put the whole can in. Afterwards, I was really feeling full. I went back into the kitchen. It was 3.5 servings at 100 calories apiece. So I had, almost 400 calories.
Oh, you overdid yourself, huh?
I did. So I keep that in mind for next time.
Okay.
And as far as adding the ingredients, really what's most important is that we caramelize the onions first, and then add the garlic. And once that's completed, the order doesn't really matter. I add the spinach or the green first because it'll cook down faster if that's the only ingredient in there with the onions. And then the rest of the ingredients, it doesn't matter what order you add them.
So this is just cooking down right now.
Yep,
and almost there. So
Almost
we're going to be eating this shortly. But before we do, I have to decide just a couple other greens that could be used.
Yes.
Now this is a beautiful chard example of chard. Now when you would do this, you would cut the ribs, right? You cut this part out and chop this up.
Yes.
Rinse it real good, of course.
Yes.
And you could use that instead of the spinach?
Absolutely. Yeah, you probably only would need one of these leaves. That's a lot of fiber, a lot of B vitamins, a very healthy plant right there.
Okay.
And a beautiful one.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And then, of course, the escargot. Okay.
Grandma would love that.
I know. And we used to have soups, just this and all the seasonings,
yes.
Which was really healthy.
Yeah.
And the beans. I mean, any kind of beans. We already talked about that.
Yes.
So this is smelling so good. I can't wait to start digging into it. So let's get the dishes together and let's taste.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks. Well, this dish looks great. And I'm like I said, it's a challenge to see how it tastes. But before we taste, talk to me a little bit about this grain.
This is quinoa. Quinoa is it's an ancient grain, high in protein, and it is gluten-free. There's a lot of talk about gluten-free because a lot of people have gluten sensitivity, and we think that it may actually be much more medically relevant than we've understood to this point. There are a couple important books out about this concept of gluten sensitivity, and so quinoa is going to become more and more popular because of it. It's gluten-free, it's a grain, it's high in protein. Now, the way I would use this in cooking this dish would be to not have beans, use a lot more greens, cook down more greens, use the olives, the onion, the garlic, and the tomatoes, fill the pan about 2/3 with water, and then add the quinoa and let it stir occasionally and let it cook for another 10 minutes.
So it's still a one-pot dish?
Still one-pot dish.
Oh, I was thinking you'd have to make this separately and mix it. So this is much easier.
It delays my dinner 10 more minutes, but it's completely worth it.
Now, the liquid you use, is it water? Is it broth? Is it?
Water.
Water, just water.
The other thing the reason I think I can get away with having it just be water is because of the amount of salt that's in the tomatoes, the amount of salt that's in the olives or the beans. It almost makes it equal to using a broth. The other ingredient that I will use would be some kind of either Giardiniera or a Sriracha sauce to make it hot. And so then it doesn't matter if I've used a really well-prepared vegetable broth. The vegetables are already doing the work for me.
Now, you had even mentioned to have hot sauce with this place on the side.
Yes, hot sauce on the side or up front. You know, it's always a part of my dish. So.
Okay. Well, let's see how this is. This is always my favorite part of the show when I get to taste.
Yes. It does not disappoint.
No. This is very good. I even go in for a second.
Thanks for the opportunity, Sally. This is really good. Appreciate it. I think people will like this.
This would be perfect for a family dish. I mean, if people don't want it, you know, if you don't want to get away from the meat, a couple of days meatless, or saute a little sausage or a little meat, a little.
Yes, I would not be against that. I would encourage people to have a meal like this 4 to 5 times a week because it's so low in calories. So if you were to have a meal that did not have any bread, rice, pasta, or potatoes 4 days a week for your dinner meal, it's 600 calories to the good every time. So if our American diet was over a week's period, almost 3,000 calories less than it normally is, a person could lose a pound every 2 weeks.
Okay. That's what I like to
That's
hear.
what people want to hear about.
Yes. So, Dr. Anthony DiLorenzo, thank you very much for bringing healthy to In the American Kitchen.
Thank you, Sally.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
And if you want to be on In the American Kitchen, please just call the station and say you want to be a star. Thank you.